right. Pack your bags for London. The red-hot debate over your taxes taking shape in the lame duck Congress. The White House pushing to extend the Bush tax cuts for everyone except for those over $250,000 a year. My next guest disagrees. He's a Democrat. He's Jason Altmire out of Pennsylvania, chairman of the subcommittee on small business. How you doing? And welcome back here. I take it you're back home in Pittsburgh today. What's going to happen with these tax cuts? What are Democrats going to do?
That's what remains to be seen. I do think that we need to extend all the tax cuts because this is not the time for anyone to be having a discussion on increasing taxes at a time when the economy is at a very slow recovery. I'm hopeful that that's a decision we're going to make, but there's still a lot of details that need to be ironed out for us to get to that point.
You seem to be in the minority. You told Neil on Your World on November 15th that you want to make the tax cuts permanent for everyone, not just an extension, but permanent. Do I have that right?
I do. I think it's the right thing to do. A lot of small businesses file in that upper bracket. They need to make long-term decisions, and they need to have some certainty. One of the reasons that small businesses are less willing to make those decisions is they don't know what the tax rate is going to be. They don't know what the regulatory environment is going to look like a year or two from now, and I just think that we need to give them that certainty and allow them to run their businesses.
You sound like a Republican.
Well, on this issue, that's what I believe. I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to achieve a bipartisan consensus before the end of the year. I know that the politics are going to be a little bit different after the first of the year, but by that point, it's too late. We have to do this before December 31st.
That's a great point. What if it's not done? What if this lingers into the new year? What's the impact on the American economy and the people that you speak for, small businesses in your district?
I think a possible outcome is most of the tax cuts, except for that upper bracket, would be extended, maybe permanently, but certainly for at least a couple of years. And then right from the beginning, we're going to have a discussion about how are we immediately going to extend that top bracket of tax cuts. I'm not going to hold hostage everybody else's tax cut while we have that argument. I do think we need to do them all together. But at some point, we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with that top bracket. I think it should be extended.
Senator Schumer, the Democrat of New York, he's out there proposing, okay, you do it a millionaire's tax cut, so you take it up to $1 million. Anybody under that, you get the tax cut. Everybody over that, you don't. They revert back to the old. I don't know if that's the way it's going to go, but I think that's one thing that's on the table to be discussed. You won in your district after voting against health care.
Right.
Would you have been reelected had you voted for health care from your district?
I think it would have been a challenge. I won a very close race. I have a Republican-leaning district. All of the other races on my ballot, both above me and below me on the ballot, were landslide Republican wins. I think it would have been pretty tough for me to hold on if I'd made a couple of bad votes. But that's what democracy is all about. If they like the job that you're doing, if they like the votes that you're casting on behalf of your district, they'll send you back. And if they don't, they won't. And I think that's what you saw.
I think 62%, I saw this number, 62% of Democrats who opposed health care are gone. They did not win re-election. You, though, bucked that trend. You talked a lot about taxes now. We asked George Pataki about this 30 minutes ago. He said these taxes are nothing unless you cut spending. The Rasmussen survey went out and they found 66% of voters favor a proposal to cut the federal payroll by 10% over the next decade. Is that something that you would support?
We're going to have to look at how that affects the security programs as well as Medicare and Social Security. When you look at defense, Homeland Security, the VA especially, and the State Department, I don't want to haphazardly do an across-the-board cut. I think that we need to be more precise on eliminating waste and abuse, but you don't want to impact our security. But on most of what's left with discretionary spending, I do think that an across-the-board cut is appropriate.
Okay, would you support all the earmark bans that Republicans have agreed to so far?
The thing about earmarks is you don't save money if you do away with earmarks. Earmarks are not add-ons. They come out of the existing budget.
So you want to support it?
I will abide by it, certainly. I think as an elected representative, I should have the ability to survey the need in my district and fight for the 6 counties that I represent, and that's where I stand. I understand the public's discomfort with earmarks, but they should understand that you're not saving money by doing away with earmarks. They are not add-ons.
You don't think so, because others would come in and argue, okay, you take care of the earmarks and you have a psychological impact on the direction of spending in Washington. And that in itself has an effect on America. You buy that argument?
I do. I understand that. I don't agree with it. I will abide by the ban on earmarks, or if there's a voluntary moratorium, I don't know what it's going to look like in the next Congress, but I do think that the problems are much deeper than something that's not even adding 1 penny to the federal deficit.
But you would agree you got to start somewhere. And if you don't start there, where do you start?
But you start with across-the-board cuts like you're talking about, but again, earmarks are not additional spending. They come from the existing budget. So I would certainly support limiting the payout for each of those discretionary accounts outside of the security accounts. But whether or not earmarks are part of that does not affect the overall cost at all.
Okay. Jason Altmire, thank you for coming in today. By the way, do you support Nancy Pelosi as the
I voted
leader?
against her. No, I voted against her, and when it comes to the floor in January, I will vote against her again.
Jason Altmire, thank you for your time. A Democrat from Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martha.
He's really been out on a limb on a number of things. Very interesting. And